Every morning, I awoke to the cold sweat that drenched my body, my heart racing as if trying to escape my chest. As I struggled to regain my bearings, my eyes would inevitably drift toward the mirror on the opposite wall. Dread clutched at my throat as I saw it. The new scar. I never remembered how I got these scars. They appeared with alarming regularity, each one a jagged line etched into my skin. Each one a testament to a night I couldn't recall. The first scar had been a mere curiosity, a strange anomaly that I hoped would pass. But as the days turned into weeks, the weeks into months, and now months into a year, I could no longer ignore the horrifying pattern. I had sought medical help, visited specialists, undergone countless tests, but no one could explain these scars. No one could tell me why they appeared, what had caused them, or most chillingly, why I had no memory of the events leading up to them. As I stared at the mirror, the scar on my arm pulsating with an otherworldly glow, a deep sense of foreboding settled over me. Each scar told a story I couldn't remember, but what if those stories were tales of unspeakable horror? What if whatever had been happening to me during those forgotten nights was something beyond human comprehension? Trembling, I reached for my journal on the nightstand. It had become my lifeline, a desperate attempt to record the fragments of my shattered memory. I flipped through the pages, the entries filled with disjointed thoughts, incoherent scribbles, and sketches of haunting symbols that seemed to dance on the edge of my consciousness. The fear gnawed at me, but I knew I had to uncover the truth, no matter how terrifying it might be. The next morning, I would wake up with yet another scar, another piece of the puzzle, and I had to be prepared to face whatever darkness awaited me in the depths of my own mind. Night after night, I ventured into a restless sleep, haunted by the anticipation of what the morning would reveal. The scars were multiplying, each one a grotesque emblem of the inexplicable terrors that lurked beyond my consciousness. My days became a haze of anxiety and obsession, my every waking moment consumed by the enigma that was slowly unraveling my sanity. The journal entries had grown more frantic, the pages filled with desperate pleas for understanding, for release from the torment that had become my existence. But no matter how many symbols I sketched or theories I pieced together, the truth remained agonizingly elusive. One night, driven by a desperate need to confront my demons, I decided to set up a camera in my room. Maybe, just maybe, I could capture whatever malevolent force was responsible for my nightly ordeal. As I drifted into slumber, the weight of uncertainty bore down on me, dragging me into a dreamscape that felt both familiar and alien. I found myself standing in a dimly lit room, surrounded by shadows that seemed to writhe and whisper. In front of me stood a mirror, much like the one in my waking world, and I hesitated for a moment before stepping toward it. As I gazed into the glass, my reflection shifted, contorting into grotesque shapes before settling into an unsettling calm. The mirror began to ripple, like water disturbed by a stone's throw. My reflection reached out, its fingers pressing against the surface, and as it did, I felt a searing pain across my chest. I looked down to see a fresh scar forming, the skin splitting open as if being carved by an invisible hand. Panic surged through me, and I stumbled back, my heart racing. The room around me seemed to close in, the walls closing ranks as if conspiring to keep me trapped. The shadows grew thicker, more oppressive, their eerie whispers becoming a cacophony of unintelligible voices. I woke with a start, the taste of fear lingering on my tongue. The camera had recorded nothing but my fitful movements in sleep, no glimpse of the nightmare realm I had traversed. Yet, the pain across my chest was all too real, the scar a grim reminder of the horrors I had experienced. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Whatever entity was responsible for these scars was beyond the reach of the mortal realm. It defied capture, defied explanation. I was a pawn in a game I couldn't comprehend, a puppet being manipulated by forces beyond my control. As the next morning dawned, I shuddered at the thought of the new scar that awaited me. But with each scar, each terrifying revelation, I inched closer to the heart of the mystery, to the truth that lay hidden within the dark recesses of my mind. And whether I was prepared or not, I I was determined to confront the horrors that lurked there. The days blurred together in a haze of fear and obsession. I had become a recluse, consumed by my quest to unravel the sinister enigma that had taken control of my life. Sleep had become both a dreaded inevitability and a tantalizing opportunity to unveil the mysteries of the scar-riddled tapestry woven into my flesh. My journal had transformed into a repository of madness, its pages filled with frenzied ramblings and increasingly frantic drawings. The symbols that had once seemed merely cryptic now pulsated with an otherworldly energy, as if they held the key to unlocking the very fabric of reality itself. Night after night, I returned to the shadowy realm beyond sleep, my every step a descent into a nightmare landscape. Each encounter with the mirror seemed to unleash a torrent of unspeakable horrors that danced on the periphery of my awareness, just beyond the reach of my conscious mind. During one particularly harrowing dream, I found myself standing in a decrepit, dilapidated mansion. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the walls seemed to ooze with a malevolent energy. As I navigated the labyrinthian corridors, I stumbled upon a room shrouded in darkness. Intrigued and unnerved, I entered. Inside, an ornate mirror hung on the wall, its surface tarnished and cracked. My reflection stared back at me, eyes hollow and devoid of life. I could feel a sinister presence lurking just beyond the glass, a force that hungered for something beyond comprehension. With a sense of dread, I watched as my reflection reached out, fingers stretching impossibly long, as if trying to breach the barrier between worlds. The glass rippled, and in an instant, I was thrust forward, my body passing through the mirror's surface. I found myself in a realm of twisted landscapes and grotesque shapes. The ground beneath my feet seemed to writhe like a living entity, and the sky above was swirled with an ever-shifting palette of nightmarish colors. Whispering voices echoed in the air, their words a maddening chorus of disjointed thoughts. In this surreal nightmare, I confronted grotesque manifestations of my own fears and insecurities, each encounter leaving me scarred in ways both physical and psychological. Time lost all meaning, and as I fought to retain my sanity, I realized that the very fabric of reality was unraveling around me. When I awoke, the scar on my body was a grotesque reminder of the horrors I'd endured in that dream world. I stared at it, my mind teetering on the brink of madness. The boundaries between reality and nightmare had blurred, and I was left to grapple with the terrifying realization that the scars were not just physical. They were echoes of the unseen horrors that had taken root in my very soul. Desperation and determination collided within me, driving me deeper into the abyss in search of answers. The final truth awaited, a truth that promised either liberation or eternal damnation. With each passing day, I could feel the tenuous threads of my sanity slipping away, leaving me teetering on the precipice of an abyss from which there might be no return. Time had become a fluid concept, days melting into nights as I delved further into the depths of the nightmare realm. My body bore the weight of countless scars, each marking a journey into the unknown, a confrontation with the malevolent forces that had ensnared me. I had grown gaunt and hollow-eyed, my once vibrant spirit now a mere flicker struggling against the encroaching darkness. But I pressed on, driven by a relentless need to unveil the truth that had remained agonizingly just out of reach. One fateful night, as I stepped once more into the shadowy realm beyond sleep, I found myself standing before a towering obsidian monolith. Its surface was etched with the same cryptic symbols that had haunted my journal, each mark pulsating with a sickening otherworldly light. The monolith seemed to beckon me, its magnetic pull drawing me closer until I stood before it, trembling with a mixture of dread and anticipation. As I reached out to touch its surface, the symbols seemed to shift and writhe, rearranging themselves into a coherent pattern. A voice, simultaneously distant and intimate, whispered through the void, filling my mind with a cacophony of whispers. Images flashed before my eyes, memories, distorted and fragmented, like shards of a shattered mirror. I saw myself standing before the mirror in my room, the one that had been the epicenter of my torment. But this time, the reflection that stared back at me was not my own. The figure in the mirror was twisted and contorted, its eyes gleaming with an unholy hunger. It reached out, its fingers pressing against the glass, and as it did, I felt a searing pain, a pain that transcended the boundaries of the dream world and lanced through my waking body. With a surge of terror, I realized the truth. I was not alone in this nightmare. An entity, a malevolent being, had ensnared me in its web, using my body as a vessel for its inscrutable purposes. The scars were not just marks of physical trauma, they were the residue of the entity's influence, a dark stain upon my very soul. As the monolith's whispers grew louder, a sense of inevitability washed over me. I understood that I had reached the precipice of a choice, one that would determine the course of my fate. I could succumb to the entity's control, surrendering myself to its darkness, or I could fight, reclaiming my autonomy and facing the horrors head-on. With a surge of determination, I pulled away from the monolith's grasp, my mind a tumultuous storm of conflicting emotions. The entity's grip tightened, its tendrils reaching out to ensnare me once more, but I fought back with every ounce of strength I could muster. A blinding light erupted from within me, pushing back the encroaching darkness. The entity howled in fury, its power waning as I wrestled control over my own consciousness. In that moment of cathartic triumph, I could feel the scars of my body fading, their ethereal bonds shattered. I awoke in my room, bathed in sweat and gasping for air. But this time, the fear was different. It was a fear transformed into resolve, a determination to confront the entity that had tormented me for so long. Armed with newfound strength, I embarked on a journey of self-discovery, delving into ancient texts and forgotten rituals in search of a way to banish the malevolent force once and for all. The scars would forever remain, a reminder of the horrors I had endured. But as I stood on the precipice of a final confrontation, I knew that I had the power to reclaim my life, to shatter the cycle of terror, and to face the darkness that had sought to consume me. And so, with heart pounding and scars marring my flesh, I prepared to confront the entity that held me captive in a nightmare of my own making, a battle that would determine not only my fate, but the fate of all that lay beyond the veil of reality.